Now today we're going to be evaluating expressions that have a variable in them where they tell us the value of the variable. In your first step, the only thing you should do is to substitute for the variable. After that, it just becomes an order of operations problem like we did in the previous learning target. So looking at the first example, it gives me this expression with an m in it, and it tells me that m equals 2 in this instance. And so my first step, all I'm going to do is to recopy the original problem, but where the m is, I'm going to substitute a 2 in its place. In this case, because it's a positive 2 and this is just multiplication, I could put 2.2 for here, or it might not be a bad idea to get in the habit of substituting inside parentheses. So that my m becomes a 2, and then I bring down my minus 8. The order of operations would then say do all operations inside parentheses. So inside the parentheses, I have multiplication and subtraction. This exponent is on the outside of the parentheses. I will not use the exponent until I have done both this multiplication and this subtraction so that I've done all of the operations inside the parentheses first. So everything outside the parentheses just gets recopied. Inside the parentheses, I multiply before I subtract. So 2 times 2 is 4, and then I'm going to bring down my minus 8. I'm still not done with what's inside parentheses. I still have an operation in there. So my next step is to do the 4 minus 8. 4 minus 8 is negative 4. Because this is a negative number raised to an exponent, the negative number must be inside parentheses. Now, negative 4 to the third power is negative 64. Negative 4 times itself again. And so my last step, 5 times negative 64, is negative 320 for my final answer. Again, I'm only going to substitute first. So 4 times y cubed is now negative 2 cubed. Again, negative 2 in parentheses because it's being raised to an exponent. Minus 3 times negative 2 squared plus, now I could put 12 with a dot for times negative 2 because I'm not raising the negative number to an exponent. I think that dot with a negative after it, again, looks weird to me, so I'm going to substitute my 12 times negative 2 this way, and then my plus 28. Since this is an order of operations problem, if I think again about the last operations that will be done, the very last things that I will do are this subtraction, followed by this addition, followed by this addition, because they are addition and subtraction that are not inside grouping symbols, which means I can actually simplify this part, this part, this part, and if I needed to simplify this part at the same time, work on those because I know all 4 of those need to be simplified before I do this subtraction and those additions. So with multiplication and an exponent in this part, the exponent would come first. This becomes 4 times negative 8. Bring down my minus. Again, multiplication and an exponent. The exponent goes first. So 3 times 4 plus 12 times negative 2 is negative 24. And then bring down my plus 28. These two are already simplified, but I still have simplifying to do here. 4 times negative 8 is negative 32, minus 3 times 4 is 12, plus my negative 24, plus my 28. At this point, all I have left are addition and subtraction. Yes, there are parentheses here, but there's not an operation inside parentheses. It's just a single number, negative 24. The only reason I have the parentheses is because I think plus a negative looks strange if you don't have the parentheses there. So now it's addition and subtraction, whichever one comes first. Well, that comes first. Negative 32 minus 12 is negative 44. Bring down my plus negative 24, and my plus 28. Then do the first addition. Negative 44 plus negative 24 is negative 68, plus my positive 28, and negative 68 plus 28 is negative 40 for my final answer. And the last one, again, the first step is just to substitute. 5 times negative 3 squared, since it's a negative number raised to an exponent, the negative number has to be in parentheses. and then my minus 4 over 8. Now there's addition after this fraction bar, and then 4 times a, which is negative 3 to the third power. Again, thinking backwards for just a second, the very last operation I'm going to do is this addition that is not inside parentheses. So I need to simplify what's on the left of that addition and on the right of that addition, and then the very last thing I'm going to do is to add. As a reminder, your division bar acts as a grouping symbol. Oops. So it's going to, in essence, group this numerator and group the denominator, simplify each of those. Well, the denominator is already simplified, and then divide after that. So I have multiplication, I have an exponent, and I have subtraction. Of those three, the exponent goes first. So 5 times negative 3 squared is a positive 9, and then minus my 4, all over 8, plus 4 times negative 3 to the third power. Exponent would go before multiplication, so this becomes 4 times negative 27. I still haven't finished simplifying what's on the left. I would multiply before I subtract. So 5 times 9 is 45. Bring down my minus 4 over my 8, plus positive 4 times negative 27 is negative 108. Now I'm running out of room, so I'm going to come up here. 45 minus 4 is 41 over my 8, plus my negative 108. 8 does not go into 41 evenly, and I could, if I want to, put that as a decimal, because if you put 41 divided by 8 in your calculator, it's 5.125. So it's a decimal to 3 decimal places. It's not a repeating decimal that fills up the entire screen. So if I want to, I can write this as 5.125. I could also write it as 5 and 1/8 if I wanted to use a mixed number, but then plus my negative 108. My goodness, this thing is difficult to write with. And then this plus this is negative 102.875. Or if I give it as a mixed number, that's negative 102 and 7/8. Either one of those is an acceptable answer for this one. Thank you.